Hello everyone. E-environment is what we will be talking in today's presentations. So let us understand the agenda as to what we will be discussing. First and foremost thing about an organizational macro environment. What exactly is macro environment and how does it impact the organization e-business marketing strategies? This is very pertinent. Assessing the impact of the legal, privacy and ethical constraint or opportunities on a company. Assess the role of macroeconomic factors, let us say government, e-business policies. Certain government are dead against e-business, certain governments are very pro to e-business, economics thereabout, the taxations and the legal constraints that needs to be discussed in this particular presentation, right, about e-environment. So what are the issues that as a company faces? First and foremost thing are the constraint that has been placed on developing and implementing our e-business strategy. What are there? Are there any constraint or are there any incentives that have been promoted by the federal government? How can trust and privacy be assured for the customers while seeking to achieve marketing objectives of the customer acquisitions and retention? Assessment of business relevance of technological innovations as the case might be. What are we looking out here? This is the management issues that needs to be addressed. The SLEPT factor, SLEPT, if you look into it, SLEPT stands for social factors, legal, ethical factors, economic factors, political factors, and technological factors, as the case might be. So these are the environmental factors that actually impacts our business, both in positive or in a negative connotations. Social factors includes customers' perceptions in terms of uh, acceptance of internet, adaptability of internet for various activities. Legal and ethical factors is all about what products can be promoted, sold online, what are the governments on our society that they want to seek benefits, ideas, informations about it. What are the individual privacy rights are all about it is to be taken around it. So there are many governments which who are against certain dictums, certain sale of certain things on an online platform, let's say alcohol or drugs. But then they, how do they differentiate from the medical chemicals, then the intoxicants that people actually use to entertain themselves altogether? The psychodemic drugs I'm talking about it. We are talking about economic factors, is the variations of performance in terms of different countries, different economies. What are the social patterns? What are the international trade? Political is all about national government and transactions. Organizations have important role in determining the future adoptions. Control of internet, rules by which it has been governed. Technological factors, there are certain economies, there are certain societies which are still technologically challenged or probably are not aware of. There are certain societies which are aging very fast. Probably they would love to change or adapt to the technological innovations that needs to be taken into consideration, but people might be a bit lethargic around it. So let me show you a graphical representation if you want to go about the wave of changes. Now, in a different time scale, look at the natural environment, right from the ice age to this age, how did the earth actually change around it? You see the weather pattern. They are changing definitely, and this is how it goes around it. Whereas an infrastructure, if you look into it, the man-made environment which can go swing up, swing down with the passage of time, and this can be a little bit with a vigorously done, as we see most of the times in US. Every 4 years the government changes, so there are new policies that comes around it. So it's very cyclical in nature. If you can go around it, you can predict it about. You have election manifesto that needs to be taken into consideration. Commerce, on the other hand, is a bit more faster because it depends on the profitability of the company, and this is where it changes actually going around it. Technology is we bit more faster. You look at your the rate in which you are changing your mobile phone is absolutely stupendous. It is absolutely getting faster, and people are phasing out things, phasing out technology with a much faster rate. Then that is what is actually translating into social cultures also. The society is also changing rampantly, and if you see the frequency is changing a bit fast, and if you see the cursor around it. Similarly, for pop culture, if you look into it, absolutely very uniform, and it keeps on changing as often as possible. Every 2 years, there is a new band that comes around it. Now, this is how we can view changes. The wave of changes is on a different time scale. It tells me about the macro environment, what has been happening around it, the wave of change, how fluctuation takes place on a different aspect of environment, different aspect of the body. I just showed you, explained it in the previous slide. The manager has to constantly scan the environment, constantly assess what changes are taking place, how it has to adapt. Introduction to a new technology, changes of the popularity tend to be frequently too needs to be assessed. Government legal changes tends to be happen over a longer time scale. 4 years generally, in certain countries it might be 5 years, no, but not beyond that. Absolutely, I'm talking about the countries which have a democratically elected government. I'm not talking about autocratic countries, by the way. The trick for managers to identify those factors which are important in context of e-commerce, which are critical to the competitiveness, service delivery. Monitor this. It is the technological and legal factors which is most important e-commerce, so that we focuses upon there. Now figure variation on the broadband subscribers of the World Bank, as the case might be, we are talking around here. You look at it, the variation of broadband way back into 2010, it's approximately 12 years ago, and things have changes. See the graph it went across it before actually the pandemic hit, and it multiplied by a lot many times. So broadband subscriptions have taken place on a higher rate. We have seen this, the adoption by technology, competition at marketplace among the providers of broadband services have increased internet accessibility. Be it, it should be borne in the mind that there might be these might vary significantly by country. We need to understand that the shows that web services should be tested at a lower speed of internet, but I am sure with the advent of 5G technology, things are going to go on a very faster rate. Now, let us understand, there are people who would be doing researches online but purchases offline. Now, this is what we are looking into it. Percentages by categories where we are researching online but purchasing offline. Let's say that cars is one of the biggest factor. Researching online, purchasing offline. Garden or do-it-yourself products is 63%. Home furnishing 62%. Mobile phones 58%. Food and groceries, on the other hand, we are not only purchasing, refreshing, researching, and doing everything online and offline. But the idea is we are getting accustomed to doing making a purchase over a period of time, and it will be sooner or later than people would be actually ordering for the cars in an online fashion. Sooner, if I may say so. Things are already moving with the mobile phones. Things are already moving with computer games, and so on and so forth. So percentage by category who bought offline after researching online, and this is a modified opinion. I am not claiming it to be the truest version, but then I have already mentioned the sources thereby. It's by the World Bank that has been trying to give us the notification. The idea, what I wanted to stress upon the audience is online is getting dominating over the traditional mode altogether. Slowly and steadily, traditional mode is losing its importance and grounds, but that doesn't mean they will go out of fashion. It is like you're accessing your news on your mobile or on your laptops, on your desktop, and also accessing the news on your newspaper, which you read early in the morning. So they have their own charms altogether. One, in the laptop, it will be the accessibility as on when on fashion, but the luxury of reading a newspaper goes a different way. So the role of social media and friends in influencing sales are highlighted by EIA 2008, which rated key sources of researching indicating the level of trust among European consumer. Search engines was 76% and personal recommendation was 72%. So search engine is already taking a precedence over the personal recommendation thereby. So trust, let us understand what has been trust. As far as price comparison in website, it's 61%. Websites of a well-known brand, again 59%. Newspaper, magazine, what have been published in the advertisements. Customer website reviews, 58%. Expert website reviews or critic website reviews or editors website reviews. Retail websites, 56%. Salespeople in the shops, 50%. And content provided by internet service providers is approximately 38%. Now, this is what we are looking into it. Number of activity that goes around it is in the y-axis, and the passage of time goes on a x-axis. This is what comes around it. If the activity is very taking slow, then it's a very technologically complex and financially very risky. People would not like to go for it. Whereas the fast and the simple thing would take adopted very quickly and then it stabilizes. Similarly, for medium, it will be having an in-between approach between medium and the fast and the slow thing. So what are we looking into it? Let me tell you about the activities first and foremost. Let's say email, search engine surfing, what the basic activities that goes around it. Research online purchases, travel, car, make small, low investment or low involvement of purchase. Now this time you are trying what is an online purchasing experience is all about it. Post it to the forum, buy at an auction, more frequent high value purchases. Slowly and steadily you are making a gradual shift. Sell at an auction. Not only you are buying, now you are selling at an auction, downloading software, visiting government site. Then we have the FIS or the favored information source, frequently high involved purchases as the case might be. So you are getting accustomed to purchasing things. So development of experiences in internet usage is initial internet users may restrict themselves to searching for information or using an email. As their confidence grows, their use of internet for purchase is likely to increase over a period of time from lower value item to higher value item, from infrequent purchase to more frequent purchases. This is often coupled with the spread of a broadband accessibility of internet. For this reason, there is still good potential for e-retail sales, even if the percentage of the population with an access to internet plateaus over a period of time. You see, internet users take longer time to become confident, to make a purchase, more expensive, more complex thing. Many of us will initially purchase a book or probably a DVD online, but today we may purchase expensive electronic products or financial services thereby. Ethical issue concerns with personal information ownerships. We are talking about privacy, we are talking about accuracy. Privacy, I am not comfortable perhaps letting know about my health issues in front of every world, probably. It might be a privacy issue, it might be accuracy, it might be inappropriately reflected propriety, who owns it and how can ownership be transferred, accessibility, who is allowed to access this information and under which condition. Data protection and privacy laws is collected, storage, usage, and deletion of the personal information directly through data captures, email marketing and SMS mobile marketing, use of viral marketing to encourage transmissions of marketing messages between the consumers, as the case might be. This is what we are looking forward to. Disability and discrimination law. Accessibility of the content such as images for visually impaired with a different digital environment, let's say website, email marketing, mobile marketing. Now we have softwares which can actually read out your website altogether for a person who is not able to see or who is blind by birth, probably. We have other loyalty issues or legal issues as the case might be in terms of branding and trademarking issues are all about it. Digital marketing activities affected when there is a conflict in terms of brand names, when people are using or cross-selling each other's brand names altogether. So we need to be very focused with the domain names, content on sites, paid search advertisings. We're talking about intellectual property rights. Definitely, yes, people are akin to it. People might say this particular line, this particular novel, this particular article has been published through one's own internal effort, and somebody might have copied it and probably posted it out against their names. So there might be intellectual property issues altogether, and so on and so forth. Contract laws is again one of those factors that comes around here in terms of cancellation, return, error in pricing. Online advertising issues similar issues to the traditional medium represent to offer causing offenses and viral marketing thereby. There are other issues in terms of contact information which can be done, collected, or altogether. Cookies are used to remember a particular person, particular visit, particular habit of a person. Profile information include personal information, online forms. Access platform usages is talk about web analytics systems. It tells you what kind of computer, what kind of browser, what kind of operating system one has been working around it, and thus helps the business houses to cater product or cater promotions to the requirement of the customers. So we have other types of information. Let's say behavioral information on a single site. Now, how much amount of time do I spend on a particular website? Do I write a mail or then I don't send it? This can be noticed altogether. What are we looking into it? Are we toying up with an idea? So web beacons with an email marketing can be done. First party cookies are also used for monitoring web behavior uses. Malware can collect additional information, perhaps like passwords and what is the screen jobs all about it. Behavioral information across multiple sites. This is third party cookies we are talking about it. We are actually selling cookie installations for a third party for a sum of money. Search engines such as Google use cookies to track advertising through AdWords per pay per click program. Services like Hitwise or Hitwise.com monitors IP traffic to assess the site usage of the customers groups within the product categories per se. The eight principles of data protection: fairly, lawfully processed for a limited purpose, adequate, relevant, not excessive. We are talking about being accurate data. Data needs to be taken into consideration, not kept for a longer than necessary. Processed in accordance with the data subject rights. Data protection should be secure. It should not be transferred to any countries without adequate protection thereby. So these are the eight principles of data protection every now and then should be followed. Fairly and lawfully processed. The data should be processed for a limited purpose. The data should be adequate, relevant, and not excessive. Data should be accurate. Data should not be kept for longer than necessary. Data should processed in accordance with the data subject's rights, as in whatever the incumbent is saying. The data should be secure and not transferred to other countries without adequate protection. Localization is what Singh and Pereira says in 2005 provides an evaluation of framework for a level of localization. Now, what is localization? That means the data has to be stored within the vicinity of the boundaries of the country that it has been generated upon. That is what we are looking into it. Many a times it has been noticed that many websites actually store data in a different continent altogether. Forget country. That should not be done. So standardized website, not localized, a single site server serves all the customer segment, be it domestic or international. Semi-localized service, a single site serves all the customers. However, there can be contact information about foreign subsidiary available to the international customer. Many sites fall into this category. Localized websites have country-specific website. In fact, this is the best one which I would prefer around it, with language translation for international customers wherever relevant. Let's say 3m.com. If you have visited, you can be seeing this particular website in German language, French language, Spanish language, Latin languages, as the case might go around it. So the local language versions can come around. It initially focuses on the major website thereby. What about the highly localized websites? Country specific website with language translation also includes localizations in terms of time, in terms of date, in terms of postcode, in terms of currency format. Dell.com will have an Arabic websites in Arabic languages, provides everything in an Arabic. Apart from the English versions, culturally customized websites reflect complete immersion in the culture of the target customer audiences. Yes, definitely yes. There might be pictures which has to be customized as per the sensibilities of the country that comes around it. May mean providing multiple websites for that country depending upon the dominant culture pressure. Durex is one of the glorifying example. Durex.com is a good example for culturally customized website as the case might be. Economical and political are the slept process that we continue to go around it, ensures companies' competitiveness, funding for education and technology, promoting new technology, for example, broadband, 12% of UK, 70% of Taiwan, South Korea, achieving government efficiencies, e-government, all UK services online by 2005, Singapore, Intelligent Thailand, taxation regime, legislations for offshoring the trading purposes thereby. So we have this thing. This is what is economy. E-economy, if you look into it, we start with environment. We are ready about it. We start inserting, executing it, and probably we can feel the impact about here. Now, what kind of this readiness and uptake, where does this impact is been felt? Not only in the market, but also in the political and infrastructural levels that comes around it. So we have an economy which affects the market, political and infrastructure. It depends upon the um, depending upon the execution of the E framework that comes around. The framework describing the economy is based on four layers of environment. Let's say readiness, uptake, and use, and the impact. The three major stakeholders are citizen, business, and government. I have already mentioned in my previous slide. A review of how different governments can actually try to improve the health of the economies is presented on the political factors and e-government thereby. This is what we look into it. Knowledge of different economies is also a part of budgeting for revenue. Different countries in China, there's a regulation of foreign ownership of internet portals or internet service providers, which could hamper development. User access to certain content is also restricted in China. The trend towards globalizations can arguably insulate a company to some extent with the fluctuation of the regional market. But of course, no protection from global recessions. Definitely, yes. Managers can also study e-commerces on their own, which will help them to understand the future and probably predict it accordingly. Technological issues is adoption of technology. At what rate do we change? Which technology we adopt? What do we monitor? How do we evaluate? How do we scale, upgrade, reskill our staff? Are this system secure enough? Is what we are looking into it. See again, numbers of adoptions and over a passage of time, how well we increase. Now, this is what we goes around it. These are the 5 steps that goes around. The first step is the innovation stage, wherein we are just trying to innovate ourselves. Next stage is we need to promote this stage, and how do we do it? We bring in influencer, we bring in opinion leaders, we bring in brand ambassadors, and they promote the brand altogether, other technology thereby. And then there is people who are actually adopting the technology. This is the early adopter that comes around it before the late majority will actually join. And eventually, once these things have joined, you see a bulk of the people have joined, approximately a bulk of the people have joined. You require the laggards to join automatically over a period of time. These are conservative adopters, as we say. So diffusion adoption curve. First, it can be used to understand the stage of the customers have reached with the adoption of technology or any product. For example, the internet is now a well-established tool, and in many developed countries, we are not into late majority phase of adoptions with large number of users of services. This suggests it is essentially to use this medium for essentially marketing purpose and nothing else. Innocentive is something which I would love to go around it, wherein it is an online marketplace. Innocentive, one of the largest commercial example of crowdsourcing, is which connects managers and relation between seekers and solvers, as if there is a problem and there's a solution that is available. Seekers are the companies conducting research and development that are looking for solutions to their business challenges and opportunity. Solvers are 117,000 registered numbers of incentives who can win cash prize ranging from $5,000 to $1 million for solving the problems on a variety of domains, including business, including technology, as the case might be. So it's a win-win situation for every one of them. Essentially, if you want to plot it on a graph, you will see the response to technology over a period of time and the changes that comes over a period. So innovator is the one who actually changes over thing. Laggard is the one who is not interested in changes anywhere down the corner, and in between is the changes that comes around it. But this is a broad representation. Essentially, the change is like the footsteps. The technology has been built upon the footstep like a level, right? This is what we are saying, the technological changes, as the case might be. Yes, obviously it seems as a singular graph, but more often than not, we have a technology which is establishing and we are building upon it, making it much more efficient, making it much more reciprocative, make it much more customer friendly, make it having additional features, making it multi-pronged, multi-accessible, and multiple editable things. This is what is being notified as far as the technological changes are concerned. Alternative responses, you look at the stepped curve as is been shown in the technology. Some may be small incremental change, such as new operating systems, such as introduction of personalization technology. Line A is a company that is using innovative business technique that adopts technology at an early or is even in an advance what technology can currently deliver. Line C is a conservative adopter, the laggards, if I may say so, who use technology much behind or lags behind the available potential. Line B is the middle ground. It's probably the ideal situation where the company needs to monitor new ideas, early adopter, trial them, adopt them, and make a positive impact on the business thereby. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.